All balls and all the breakdown. This is our last review of the 2024. Tonight we have Matt Boland and Dave Sheehy on with us. Lads, I suppose we'll just dive straight into it. Um, First game I'll go to is Munster versus Leinster from Thomond Park. Leinster winning that one 28.7. Matt, you didn't see the game by any chance, did you?
Might have seen a little bit of it, yeah. Through the thick of red that I was stuck in on the terrace in fucking Thomond Park, yeah. So it was a very good experience. I was saying to Peter there before we came on air. I was just the first thing I noted was the atmosphere. The atmosphere in Thomond Park was something I haven't witnessed at a Leinster game in a long, long time, and I think it had actually put some of the Leinster fans to shame because there wasn't one Munster fan in there not screaming and shouting and singing and supporting and giving
and unfortunately booing.
Yeah, look, yeah, well, unfortunately booing, but like you kind of get that as well. But look, you know, you made a very valid point, like at the start, where you were going mad because the Munster fans booed Leinster coming onto the pitch, and you turned to me and you said, "That's a bad fucking omen, you know. You shouldn't do that. Like it's about a respect type thing, you know." And
yeah, but it's because we applaud every opposition team that comes in from the warm up, and then when they run out before Munster, it's always been the way at Thomond. And when Leinster were coming off from the warm up, people were booing. I was like, "Would you fucking grow up, man?" That's bullshit. And honestly, in all my years of going to Thomond, I think maybe once before the Leinster team has been slightly booed, but as you know yourself from what we heard, it was minority. So it's just
look, and that's always the case, you know. It's always the minority of people, but that always tends to kind of cast a shadow on the actual event that's going on, you know. But you know, the majority of the fans there are genuine Munster fans, and they respect all teams. But you know, when the stadium is kind of quiet and then the odd person boos here and there, it does tend to stand out. Like the other thing that kind of got to me was the respect that they had for the kickers, not just on the Munster team but on the Leinster team as well. You know, you could hear a mouse's fart in that stadium when they were kicking penalties. Do you know what I mean? Or not that there was many penalties kicked, but conversions. You know, but to me, that just goes to show you that they have a lot of respect for traveling teams and for the traveling fans as well. Look, for me, it was a great experience. I'd never been to Thomond Park. Always wanted to go. It was one of the games I've always wanted to go to was Munster v Leinster in Thomond, and it did not disappoint. You know, I know the result didn't go Munster's way. You know, a lot of things. I kind of said to Dave as well. There was a few points in that game where Leinster got let away with things in the scrum, in the breakdown, various sort of things, offsides and all that sort of stuff. I thought they could have been penalised a little bit more, but you know, it was a great game, a great occasion for me, and I would definitely go back.
Dave, you were now before I come to you, Dave, Peter, we'll get to that point there now in a few minutes. But Dave, what were your thoughts on the game?
I just read David Corkery's article on Rook This, and you know, it's hard to not to agree with him. I think every Munster fan feels the same. It's like it has to be coaching that's killing us all. And I hate to say it because it's not like Mike Prendergast or Leamy or Costello or any of these want to do a bad job. You know, they're trying their best. Everyone's trying their best. I mean, the effort of the team on the day, they really gave a lot, like, you know, but it wasn't enough. And it shows how far off the pace we are. Like, every collision in attack, when Munster had the ball in attack, or even when we were defending, we were second best. Like, Leinster were physically stronger and fitter than us. So, and it got to the point where, like, halfway through the second half, I turned to Matt and I was like, I honestly don't know what we can do to win this. because there's the effort is there, the will of the players is there. They're not up to that level. Like, I mean, Rory Scannell is not at the level. He was pushed around everywhere. I watched the first half just there about an hour ago to refresh the memory. Like, Gary Ringrose sent him fucking flying, man. Whether it was a legal challenge or not, Ringrose sent him absolutely flying. And it's just, like, Ollie Jaeger tried his best in the scrum, but he's not good enough. John Ryan came on and did a substantial difference. And I think the only positive of the game for Munster was probably Calvin Nash's attack and the scrum. Everything else, the line out was crap. Leinster finally brought their best line out of the year. It was just a hard watch as a Munster fan. And then, like, you know, me and Matty were in there an hour beforehand. We're watching. I love watching the warm up and the kickers and all. I was saying to Matt, but we're looking at Prendergast, man. It's like that fella has some boot. He really does for kicking the touch. You know? Unbelievable. And Jamie Osborne throughout the game, I thought was unreal. I think if you were to put him back in a Brian O'Driscoll era, he'd stand out like Brian O'Driscoll did. Just there's so many good players now. Like, Jamie Osborne is going to be absolutely fantastic player. He's unbelievable. But, like, back to the Red Army, I honestly don't know where we go from here. Like, I mean, in defense, we're ball watching a lot. Like, I mean, there was no pillars again for the first try. It's just little mistakes, like all the injuries, because a lot of us think it's the training ground. The attack, as me and Matt saw, seems to be bunched up between the tram lines all the time. There's no width in it. They're just kind of all bunched together. It's just like the defense, there's holes. They're not fit enough. They're not strong enough. It's just everything seems to be falling apart. But then, you know, you could look at the Stade Francais game and just say, oh, it's there. And it is there, but that's a second string team as well, you know. So we're way off where we want to be. And I honestly, at this point now, I don't know how to fix it. I don't think anyone does. So, like, I mean, the rumors of Lancaster, you'd be saying your rosaries now to get that fella in to change things, because, or Declan Kidney or something, because I can't even think of a coach that could come in to change it, you know.
Being honest, I actually love if Stuart Lancaster went, because what he did for Leinster, he would definitely make a difference, because he's got that quality coach international on the international side and within the Premiership and in the USA with Leinster. You know, he would be fucking fantastic signing. But I don't know if that's the case or not. But sure, who knows? Like, they could be looking at God knows. You know, you just don't know.
Yeah, as fans, we're just looking. Because we're in disarray now, we're looking to point fingers, like.
Yeah, and that's always the way.
And that's always the way. And I get what Corkery was saying about you don't want to be pointing fingers at the coaches or the players, but, you know, Dennis Leamy is a relatively inexperienced defense. You know.
Yeah.
Sorry, Danny.
Actually, before I forget, Megan Augusta was up there as well. I just want to say hello to her. She had her first comment in as well. But Matt,
How are you, Megan?
Matt, I want to bring something to you there, and even Dave said it as well. There's a comment on the Mets thread. And she said, see, the Munster supporters are booing already when the Leinster team came out, really showing their true colours, pathetic as usual. Was that just the minority being heard?
Yeah, I believe without a doubt, because I don't think there might have been one or two booing around us. Maybe, definitely the fella beside us anyway. But it's always the case, you know. As a Leinster fan, we definitely have some of them as well who act like that. But they're not real rugby fans. They probably haven't played the game, because they don't understand the respect that goes into learning to play rugby and being trained by coaches, you know, to respect referees, to respect your opposition, all that sort of stuff, you know. So for me, I don't think they're, not to say that they're not genuine fans, that's probably a bad way to put them, but they're definitely fans that haven't played the game, because if they had played the game, they'd understand that respect, because you can't say anything to the referee, you'll get yellow carded. You know, you curse, like how many referees did we play that were reffing us, Dave, and you'd tell him to fuck off and he'd give you a yellow card straight away. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's that type
Well,
of
I'd
thing.
never tell a ref to fuck off.
I did once, but I paid the price. But
really, Matt?
But you know what I mean. It's always a minority, and for me, I think it's just it's the kind of the spirit or the thoughts of soccer fans that they're going and they're switching to rugby, going, it's a bit more crack rugby. You can drink in the stadiums and all this sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So, and I think it's a bit of that as well. But the genuine Munster fans, and you can see it's most of them, I'd say nearly 98% that were at Thomond do have that respect. And, you know, unfortunately, like boos resound more than fucking clapping does in a stadium, unfortunately, you know.
Dave, any thoughts on that comment there?
I was the one who said it.
Yeah. Was that you, was it?
I was the one who said it to Matt straight away when I heard when the Leinster team was coming off the after the warm-up, I said it to Matt straight away. I said, you know what, I've never heard a team being booed. Even Leinster and all the Leinster games I've gone to in Thomond, I've never heard a team getting booed coming in or running out. So it wasn't many, but there was a few, and like unfortunately some of them are probably genuine fans. Like, I mean, that fella beside us, man, as much of a dickhead as he was, he's there every week. I see him every week there. He's just a bit gone in the head, as you can tell. I mean, this man was calling Leinster players wankers and tossers. Like, what person does that to a player he's never met in his life? You know what I mean? That's like me saying, "Oh, Ringrose, you fucking dickhead." You know, like, I mean, I don't know the guy, so I can't call him like that. But
Exactly.
yeah, look, it was a small minority, and I've heard many a boo in the RDS and Lansdowne Road. It doesn't bother me, you know. I've heard it. It doesn't bother me. So
it is
someone coming
is
on
calling
Munster fans pathetic. Yeah, but it does happen, right? But someone coming on calling Munster fans pathetic because of a bit of booing is actually pathetic in itself.
Look, absolutely, and there's definitely a minority of Leinster fans that do the very same. So, you know, like, again, those in glass houses shouldn't cast stones. You know what I mean? And they're probably the ones that are pointing it out, going, "Oh, the Munster fans are booing," but they'd be doing it just as well. I've heard it in the RDS. I've heard it in Aviva. You know, I've never, you know, and I wouldn't do it because I know the values of the game. I've played the game enough to know that, like, it's a respect thing. You know, you respect your opposition, whether you win, lose, or draw. You know, you respect the officials, whether they're the refs or the linesmen. And half of the time, the linesmen are in our level where coaches on either side of the team, and you have to treat them the same way as you treat the referee, you know, and that's just inbuilt into the game. It's what makes the game so enjoyable, you know. So again, it's a minority on both sides. I'm sure there are Ulster fans that do the same. I'm sure there are Connacht fans all through the Premiership and even in through the top 14 and in international rugby as well. You're gonna get it.
But I have a question for you, and I'll come to Dave for this one first. Do you think when you get those rivalries between teams, let's say Munster and Leinster, do you think even the most common sense fans, can get caught up in that rivalry?
Oh, absolutely. 100%.
Oh, yeah.
I would say 100%. Yeah.
Oh,
look,
yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
Is my internet freezing up, lads? Is it?
A little bit, all right, yeah, at times.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
Look,
Go on, talk away there.
Like, I know from I know, like, getting prepared, sitting in the dressing room, getting ready to go onto a field, you get nervous, and then all of a sudden, your nervous energy turns to hyper energy, and you're just buzzing, ready to go, and the adrenaline kicks in, and mind slips happen all the time, and you can come out with something, or you can do something that's totally out of character. And it's the same with the fans. So when that rivalry is building, and especially the rivalry between Leinster and Munster, it's probably the biggest rivalry we have on this island. When that comes to the head, it definitely spills out, and people do get caught up in the moment. And I wouldn't blame them for that, because that's all part of it as well. And I'm not castigating the fans that were booing either. They probably don't do it on a general basis either. But again, it is a minority. People do get caught up in the moment. You know, people have had a few drinks or a few fizzies or whatever they're having, you know, and the occasion gets
Look at rivals. Ah!
Exactly. You know yourself.
Yeah.
You know yourself, lads, when it's a big game, the
Yeah.
adrenaline in everybody is up. Especially in Thomond when it's Leinster or European Cup, the adrenaline's up. So you want blood. I mean, that little scrap that happens on the little fisticuffs that happened on the
right in front of us as well.
Right in front of us, man. I was like, oh, kill him.
Yeah, myself and Dave were nearly going at it in the stand.
You know what I mean? The emotions are higher because you know you want to beat your biggest rivals, or you want to at least turn up to beat your biggest rivals. And when it's not happening, it's not happening. Like, I mean, we've all booed bad decisions, you know, decisions we feel are not fair. We boo. Like, I mean, Leinster were offside most of the day. You know, there was times now I didn't see it and people were calling, but people are always going to call for it. But when you look back at it, they were often a lot. And, you know, people are going to boo. We're not getting the penalty. But it's not like booing the fucking ref or this and it's just in the heat of the moment, man. It happens.
You remember, you cast your mind back to that game. How many times did I turn around to you and say, well, I think Leinster got away with one there, do you know?
You did, yeah, and I missed it. And I missed a few of them. When I went back and watched it.
You know, I'm a Leinster fan through and through, but I'll call it as I see it. And if I see something that I think Leinster should have been penalised for, I'll have no problem admitting it or saying, I think the
fair is fair.
Fair is fair, you know. We've all been there. Like, the offside rule is so close. Like, when you're lining up in defence and the scrum half is getting ready to pull from the maul, that ball from the maul, you're looking at any little movement to go and fucking nail him. So any sort of head movement or something, you could take a foot step and then that's a penalty. Do you know, it's so close. The margins are so fine at that point that it's very hard to get your timing right. And like I think I said to you, you know, especially with the ringrose tackle, that just springs to mind. I think he was late, you know, and I said to Dave, I said, Jesus, I think they'll have a look at that, you know, and then nothing happened. And I said to Dave, I said, I think that's probably a wrong call. Now it's hard to see in the stadium because there's so much going on, and you're looking at the whole pitch rather than the little bit of action that's going on. And I haven't actually watched the game back yet. I was hoping to do it today, but didn't get a chance. But you know, like as I was saying to Dave, like the great thing about being at a match is you're looking at the work rate of players, and you know, like even Nash, you could see his work rate that doesn't get caught on TV at all. He'll just spring up out of position. You'll be going, well, what's he doing there? He's running from the other fucking wing to go and support on the other side.
Yeah. Nash was fast in that game, man.
And that's the thing they don't see on the TV, you know, and the work rate of some players is phenomenal, and none of that gets captured on the TV. And that's why being at a game is so important, especially when you know what's going on. You're kind of looking for different types of things, and you know that's it.
Actually, a follow-up now that's on screen there. Would the panel agree with Mr. Jackman that the Munster-Leinster rivalry is not the same as it was a few years back? Dave?
Yeah, I didn't hear what Jackman said, but I mean, you know, it's not. It's clearly not. Like,
Evening, Christopher.
Peter was alluding to it, that he was saying, you know, like there's a lot of comments even in the group of people like, oh, I suppose this is Leinster's fault. This is Leinster's fault. You know, let me be clear. Nothing is Leinster's fault, right? Leinster have what they have, and that's good. If we were to look back 20 years ago, Munster were the dominant team. You know, players from Munster were like Sean Cronin, Trevor Hogan, and John Fogarty were at Leinster. A couple went up to Connacht, and then, you know, we got Andrew Conway, and they said, so it happens, you know. The big divide. I don't buy into this that more money makes a better player. You're either a good player or you're not. You know, like, I mean, like me and Matty played for the love of the game. If you were to give me money to do it, I'd still perform the same way, or I'd like to think I would. You know, but I don't buy into this money makes a better player. Like training, coaching, attitude makes a good player. And there's loads of people with that. But I think it's just a population thing now where Dublin's population has increased. I mean, we've seen a decline in population down in Munster and in Connacht and up and Ulster, all to the cities. Like, it's just it'll come back, hopefully.
It will. But it's a popularity thing as well. Like, if you look back years ago when Munster were winning regularly and they used to come and fucking thump Leinster at home and away. Do you know what I mean? And I used to hate watching them games because you knew straight away, fucking, we're in for a bad night here, you know. But when a team is winning, you know, kids want to start playing rugby and they want to be like their idols and play rugby. It's now Leinster's turn, and that's just the way it's going to be. In 10 or 15 years' time, it could go back down to Munster again, you know, and these things are always cyclical. They always have a cycle, you know, and I think Munster are just in that dip of a cycle now where Leinster are peaking at the moment. I mean, Jesus, in 5 years' time, we might be able to get a win of fucking Munster ever again. Do you know what I mean? So, like, that's just the way it is, you know?
Like, as I was saying to Matt after the game, they were advertising tickets for the Saracens match straight after the game. And I said to Matt, I said, if this was back 2008 to 2014, that would have been sold out 6 months ago already. Like, that was already sold out. And now it's just, I think Limerick have such a successful hurling team as well now that maybe a lot of the kids are looking more to GA than rugby nowadays. You know what I mean? They didn't do really 5 in a row, you know, so it was a 4 in a row, something like that. So
actually, a good point here by Megan as well that popped up on screen a minute or two ago. It was probably a few drunk people acting the bollocks. It isn't the majority. Wouldn't let it overlook the genuine great atmosphere that Thomond does for fans. I suppose that would be regards to booing and stuff like that.
Yeah,
it's Christmas, man.
Yeah.
She's spot on, you know. Like, at the end of the day, a lot of people are under holidays, you know, so they're off for maybe a week or two, and they're looking for an excuse to go out and get fucking slaughtered. And they probably had maybe 5 or 6 points before they went into the game, and then had 3 or more in the stadium. You know, there's probably plenty of porter on board, like, you know. So, but again, it is only a minority, you know, but you expect it as well. Like, you know, you're going to expect, like, the fans to be sound, having a bit of crack with you, but you also you kind of expect that bit of hostility as well. Like, you know, it's a rivalry. It's a rivalry at the end of the day, and it's a massive rivalry, you know, and you kind of expect it as well. But, like, in terms of, I'd expect the booing kind of going through the game more so than before, you know, like, like as Dave said, Dave was a bit annoyed by the Leinster team getting booed coming off the pitch during their warm up, you know, which is kind of, it is kind of shitty. And he like, Dave turned to read and he goes, I hope it doesn't bite us in the fucking ass, because normally they don't do that here, you know, and that's just the way it is. That's the way it goes, you know.
But I suppose that's part and parcel of any rivalry, though, regardless of what sport it's in and everything like that. Another one here from Peter behind the scenes. Mistakes. Munster's ruck defence is non-existent. Line out misfiring. Kicking the ball dead. Is it all coachable?
100%, man. But, like, I mean, like, we've been caught with the no pillars at the ruck a good few times this year. It's not one game, you know. Like, I mean,
it's.
I've been saying the same thing since the last game in Croke Park of where I thought Munster were at, and the attack and the defense. The attack doesn't seem to have any variation. It doesn't seem to want to create space. Like, yet again, we're up against a blitz defense, and there's no one kicking grubbers. They're going over the top, which is easy to mop up. Let's be honest. Like, I mean, the fullback and the wing are in position to mop them up all day long. You kick in grubbers and make that blitz defense turn, you know, and they're not doing it. There's no smarts in that Munster team. And Corkery alluded to as well, a lack of leadership. I do believe there's a lack of leadership across all 4 provinces.
Yeah.
I'm not having to go with Doris or anything, but, like, I mean, you had your captain and then you had your senior players who knew what the fuck was going on. Yeah. I don't think any of the 4 provinces have that at the minute.
And I think you're dead right there. And like, I hate bringing it back to the same fucking point, but Johnny Sexton was that guy he was the captain, but he was also part of the senior team, and he demanded the best. And he wasn't short of fucking telling people, pull your socks up. You let that fucking try you and you weren't doing your pay.
Yeah, but do you remember what you'd hear about him when he wasn't captain?
Yeah.
Everyone would come out with the dressing room and just, Jesus, Johnny was barking at people today.
Yeah, exactly. But that's kind of what you want. And I do think Munster lacked that little bit of seniority in the team on Friday night, because you can guarantee it, if Peter O'Mahony was there, he would have been barking the orders, because it just looked like that they were missing that dogfight, that bit of dog and that bit of fucking determinedness to go, fuck it, lads, come on to fuck, get your act together, And
well, I tell you, I saw it in Tom O'Hearn and Alex Kendall. And
the
even
two of them, they actually had great games, to be fair to them.
Really did,
there was a handful of Munster players that actually did really, really well. But if only half the team are doing really well, the other half aren't. You
need the team to win, exactly.
You need the team to be performing to their best for them all to win, and it doesn't matter whether it's Munster, it doesn't matter whether it's Leinster or Ireland. If 30% of the team isn't performing, they're not going to win, and that's just the way it is.
Do you lads remember the whole Paul O'Connell speech from maybe about 20 years ago? The whole fear of God speech.
Put the fear of fucking God into them, yeah.
There was one line he had in it. He said, "If you see anyone slacking off, get on their case."
Yeah.
He said that to every player there, and he expected that back in return.
But that's
if he's slacking off, maybe that's the type of leadership that he needs.
Level of honesty in Munster,
Yeah.
There for a while, if any of us fans criticised the Munster player, we'd be like, "Oh, you're not being positive," or this, that, and the other. I remember Jerry Flannery clearly saying, if you didn't perform, you'd hear about it that night in the pubs in the streets of Limerick, and you felt ashamed of yourself. And that's something that's missing. I don't think these players are ashamed of it, because losing seems to be a habit with Munster now, and it seems to be a habit that they've accepted. Because, body language and posture says it all before and after a game, and I don't see it throughout the team. You know, I mean, that's a game you should be hoping to die on the pitch for, to get one over Leinster. I'm either ending up in hospital or the grave here, and the aggression and the effort was there, but it's not enough. And it has to come down. I know I'm repeating myself here, but it has to come down to coaching. And the problem is, you've a lot of ex-players in the media now, and they don't want to criticize Leamy. They don't want to criticize Prendergast because they're mates with them, and I totally get it. Imagine Matt was, coaching Mary's first team and they were playing shit. I wouldn't want to criticize him because he's a teammate, But we have to stand up and be honest now and just be like, look, what's happening at Munster is not good enough, because they've cheaped out again on the coaching ticket, just getting ex-players in. I think it needs a radical overhaul. It needs a Declan Kidney or a Lancaster in just to rewrite the script, because if they want money, they want bums on seats, and you're not going to get it playing that brand of rugby. It's like that Saracens game is not sold out, whereas 10 years ago that Saracens game was sold out, and it's not sold out now. Why? Because we're playing shit. So you either up the performance or forget about it completely.
But looking at the game, there was parts of that game where Munster had that, and then there was parts that they didn't, and it was just that level of inconsistency that they had. The first 7 or 8 minutes into that second half, it was like a new Munster team coming out. They were on everything, and they were
for 10 minutes, and then they slacked off again.
And that's where I think the coaching needs to come back in, and getting that senior team players back involved to go, right, well, okay, lads, right, what we did there in the first 10 minutes, we were grand. We slacked off for the next 5. We need to get that aggression back. We need to get that physicality back. We need to fucking pick your man. You need to fucking hit him hard, and you need to put him on his arse. That's always the way, and
but about the smarts as well, though, Matty.
Of course. Look,
Munster left 3 kickable penalties behind. Billy Burns is not actually bad from a tee, He might be bad at a lot of things, and he actually played okay in that game, but he's still not at the level. But he's not bad from a tee. And you and me were like, take the points, take that, and they never took the points. They coughed up line out, they coughed up Maul, and they never took the fucking points when they were on offer. The whole crowd was saying it, and they still didn't do it because it's the we'll fucking show you attitude.
We discussed that at so many times during that game. Like that at halftime, the score should have been 14-9. Possibly 14-12.
You might even have got 14 because you had a yellow card at the time.
Yeah. Exactly. So
you know what I mean? So, like it's chasing the game that's killing Munster. Munster would have been on top with those 9 points, and they're not chasing.
There was that lack of authority, I think, to go no, take the points. And some of them penalties were like easily kickable. They done them blindfolded. Even Billy Warren's like.
Yeah. One question for you now, Dave, and I'll ask you this one. Michael Czechia kind of brought the dog to Leinster, right? When he came in. Do Munster need that type of coach? Did he bring that kind of doggedness into them? That similar kind of attitude. It's like, it's us versus the world, or we're going to beat them. This is how we're going to do it. So that kind of leadership, that raw kind of.
Cheika was never my favorite coach in the world, but
but he brought a certain attitude with him.
He brought an arrogance, definitely.
Yeah,
I think the players brought the dog because you had Drico and these, and all the lads like, we're fucking sick of losing to these cultures. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I understand, especially like 2006 was obviously slightly humiliating for them, as it was for us in 2009. So I wouldn't put that down to Cheika alone. I put that down to the players because that was the standard of player we had in the provinces back then, where they took the reins and they took it on them. Now everyone seems to fall back to the coach. Like, I mean, everyone's blaming Leo Cullen because they haven't won a Heineken Cup in 3 attempts. You know what I mean? It's ridiculous. It's on the players.
Look, blame can't be faulted to coaches alone or players alone.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's 50-50. The coaches can only bring them so far. The players have to push the next, I fully admit, like, coaches are responsible for 50% of performances. And the rest of that 50% is the players on the pitch, because they're the ones that are on the day doing it and trying to deliver the results. And that's where it is. And that's why, like, nobody can be faulting coaches because, there's not a coach out there that's fucking training teams to lose. They're training teams to win, and the will is there, whether it's miss tactics or they're misreading things or whatever. Again, these are all teachable things, but like half of the blame is definitely split between two.
Yeah.
I suppose we leave that one there. We move on to Saturday.
Here, look. Mike Sheedy has made a really good point there. It said Munster A versus Leinster A, second half good, but Leinster put on the big guns. The same things happen in Limerick that night, and so there was injuries to be accounted for as well. But for me, I understand, they want to rotate the teams and all, but I think everybody was looking for that Crowley v Prendergast, and I think a lot of fans were a little bit disappointed that they didn't get that. It absolutely should have. It's 2 months before the Six Nations, and the questions over, is it going to be Crowley or is it going to be Prendergast? They should have been half answered on Friday night. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but that fixture was originally set up to get the teams, and I said this in the comment, to get the teams battle hardened for Europe.
Yeah.
We always kicked the living shit out of each other and then went into Europe and won our matches because of this derby. And it was always full strength teams. And only in the last couple of years now, they've started with we're going to rest this player, we're going to rest this player. And it's not fair to the team, but especially not fair to the fans who travel home for Christmas to see the family and want to get a game in. I know people personally who actually get a season ticket and they only come home for that game because they live in Canada or America or wherever,
And that's the thing, like when the fans are paying money to go see a game that's as big as Munster v Leinster in Thomond Park, they want to see all the star players. I I'd say some of the Munster fans were gutted that they didn't see Snyman back on the pitch, because they would have lived to give him a fucking.
I tell you, he would have got booed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you
And
would
Georgie Barrett as well.
but you'd expect that, and I think,
Yeah.
I would have loved to have seen that, because, given the fact that he was ex-Munster, and
Yeah. He
the
crossed
fans
the divide.
wanted that. The fans wanted that, and they didn't get it. And I think that's why they were a little disappointed.
Tim from Egg Chasers called this the biggest club rivalry in the world, which it could be.
It's
Why aren't both teams and the IRFU making it the biggest rivalry in the world?
It's a cash cow.
It literally should be showcased as that, and it should be, if they're not injured, they're fucking playing regardless.
Exactly.
Look at what's coming up the line. Like, you've got Champions Cup games now in the next couple of weeks. In the next couple of months, you've got Six Nations. So why aren't they playing? Is it a case that they're resting them because they don't want them to get injured? But then,
Jesus Christ, are they tired from a bit of training?
No, but if that's the case, then why are they playing at all? Because rugby is a contact sport. Anybody can get injured at any time, and more often than not, when you're not playing a physical game and regularly, you're more likely to get injured when you do get thrown back into the fucking cauldron.
Yeah. Fair point, sense, but we'll move on to Saturday's game. Ulster coming away from sport.
Didn't say it. Good luck.
See Dave, take care. Ulster winning that one 17 points to 7. Matt, did you see the game?
I did. I watched that game, and I wasn't part of the previous week's show, so I didn't actually predict a winner. But I couldn't call it beforehand, and I suppose I was a little disappointed with the Connacht performance, because I thought they showed glimpses of what they're able to do, and I think there was a couple of bad handling errors on Connacht that kind of cost them the match. Mark Hansen's try was absolutely spectacular, albeit he got a bit of luck, but he had no right to get that ball anyway in the middle of 3 Ulster players, and that kind of kickstart Connacht getting back into that game. But hats off to Ulster, because their defense was unbelievable, and Nathan Doak and Timony, the two of them played fucking unbelievable. Nathan Doak was so quick at every breakdown. He was putting pressure on Caelan Blade, and Caelan Blade, as a result, his handling was very poor. His passes was poor, but I'm not disrespecting him and saying that he had a really bad game. I think he was just put under so much pressure that he wasn't able to execute the game that he would have liked to do, and it just showcased Nathan Doak, because he was just all over the place, and Nick Timony was POM, like he was player of the match, like he was unbelievable.
Matt, Dave too, this is Megan Augusta is watching Kay not mention Nick Timony too much. Word coming here from James Brennan, our Connacht man. Is the word in Connacht is that Pete Wilkins has lost the dressing room.
Go on, no, fire away.
Yeah, look, I'd well believe it. It looked like they were lacking something, and they were a bit lackluster. And like, James is our regular in, and he's on here quite a bit, and he's a Connacht super fan and season ticket holder, and he's there at every game, and he would know kind of what's going on there. And if he's shut up, Bossy. he'd kind of be in the know there of what's going on, and I'd say he's right by the looks of what happened there. Connacht are a very hard team to beat in the sports ground. They're a great team at home, and bar the odd few performances here and there, like I think the last couple of games, or last 3 or 4 games between Connacht and Ulster, there's only been a point or two in difference.
Yeah, never been much there.
Yeah, like, and I think they're kind of evens on wins as well. Like I think Connacht are winning at home and Ulster are winning at home up by a point. But I was just a bit disappointed in Connacht's performance. But that's not to take away from Ulster. Like Ulster's attack was quite good. Their defense was brilliant because there was times in that match where Connacht were banging on the door, and it was a really good game of rugby to watch as a neutral, really, and I kind of wanted Connacht to win, like at the start of the game, but I don't know. Ulster, I think Richie Murphy's doing a really good job with Ulster at the moment. He's
Yes. Dave, before I come to you, some interesting stats. Connacht took 60% of the ball and 64% of the territory, right? Ulster missed 33 tackles in that game. Connacht missed 14.
Jesus.
Yeah. Ulster conceded 16 penalties to Connacht's 9. Yet Ulster won more turnover ball. How do you win a game with those kind of numbers?
Those kind of numbers.
I don't know, man. I don't know because on paper you'd say Connacht would have walked it, but like this is the best Ulster performance we've seen this season.
Yeah.
And it could be based on previous games. This could be maybe their only good performance, because they really went all out. It must have been the embarrassment from the week before Munster. They went all out to do one on Connacht. And look,
Dave,
I thought Connacht would walk it.
Yeah, Dave, Ulster had a 5-game losing streak going into Connacht.
Yeah, is that right?
5-game losing streak. So I think that was embarrassment enough for them, I'd say.
Yeah.
Fair
Definitely 5 games in a row. Like something has to change, and by God, did it! I mean, they did what I expected Munster to do and didn't do. Like they really drove it to Connacht. I thought Connacht would walk it, man. Honestly, not walk it. Like I knew it would be a game, but I thought they'd pull away at the end because I mean they've a better attack, definitely. But like the usual inconsistencies in Connacht just creep in. The little knock-ons, the stupid things they do, penalties. It's just
missing touch, missing vital touch.
Yeah, like Carty drive you fucking nuts, man. He done like that kick in the 22 was absolutely like a Ron O'Gara kick, and you're like, that is amazing, well done. And then he just fucks it up. Then like 2 minutes later, I feel so bad for James because they're one of the most frustrating teams to support lately because they'll come out and they'll do something absolutely amazing. Like, I mean, 2 out of 2 in the Challenge Cup, and then they lose to Ulster at home. There's no consistency. And I'll be honest, if Wilkinson has lost the dressing room, that's not a good thing for Connacht.
Yeah.
Because then they're going down Munster's road.
Yeah. And like we've seen it's what happens with Graham Rowntree leaving the system so early in the season as well.
Yeah.
And Ulster a little bit as well, Joe, was it not last season, but maybe the previous season with Dan McFarlane going after a few games after as well. So there's no
on that point, like especially for Munster, when a coach goes, it's very hard on the dressing room because yourself, like you look up to your coach and what the coach says is gospel, and if you trust the coach and then all of a sudden like he loses the dressing room or he's let go or fired or he walks, it's very tough on the team, and sometimes that reflects on performances then on the pit on the field, so if it's a case that Wilkinson has lost the dressing room, then it's very tough for the players to actually go out and perform then, and that's when structures kind of go askew because everybody's trying to do their own thing then, and there's no real kind of cohesion or tactical plays or anything going, so it is tough, and it's definitely it's reflected in Munster as well with Graham Rowntree as well. So
the Ulster pack were unbelievable, lads.
They were very good. Yeah,
it just goes to show that the pack does win you games.
Yeah,
they were unbelievable.
It's like the old saying though, like the pack decides who's winning the match. The backs decide by how much.
Yeah. And the back three in Ulster is nothing spectacular. You know,
No, but
especially
it's
see
effective.
when they let in Hansen for that try. But I tell you, that pack really did a number on fucking Connacht.
And I'd give the Ulster line-up credit as well.
Yeah,
They went to the tail a few times in the second half. And it actually came off much better than I've seen compared to Ireland, Leinster, and Munster. They did nothing fancy. It was basic enough stuff, but it was just that accuracy of getting the ball to the player. Now, Con did get them once or twice or disrupt the ball, but it was just simple little things done right. And
But
that's
everything's
what you want to see
exactly.
from
But
yes.
everything's basic. Like if you get the basics right,
Yeah,
you're halfway there to winning the game. And
yeah,
you know yourself, Dave. Like if everything performs the way it should do with your plan and you're getting the basics right, it's easy to do then the little things that will make a difference in a game because you get the confidence up. Like in lineouts, go throw to the front, secure your line out, play it out the back, easy.
but
Then
it is confidence.
100%. But like I don't understand why they're doing all these complicated things at the start. Get the first few in because you know yourself, running onto a pitch is probably one of the most nerve-wracking things any player can do. And these pros, they feel it too, you know, like, and they probably feel it even more because it's the pressure of expectation of tens of thousands of fans watching them play, you know, that they want to perform. Until you get settled in a game, get your first few hits in, then you actually calm down a little bit, you know. And for me, the first 10 minutes should be basics. Everything should be basics.
Every ex-player says it though. Every ex-player. Going out on the pitch, nervous wreck. Martin Johnson was the best because he'd be standing there trying to lead the team out, and inside he'd be nearly physically getting sick. This is Martin Johnson we're talking about.
I don't know how many times I've puked before a game.
Yeah.
I know. I did the puking after the game.
That's
me because you were hungover.
You can't drink, Danny.
Yeah, but I tell you a good one now, Matt. 2 weeks ago, myself and Richard were talking. This was after the Leinster's last European game, and we both were saying that Leinster seemed to be kind of trying to do the complicated stuff first. We said the exact same thing you just said there. You start off nice and basic, front their line out, easy ball. You go for a maul, you drop it down to scrum half. You do a couple of things basic. Then you do the complicated stuff. But Richard's made one more good point. Richard made one more good point. He said you play the conditions. And he said the conditions in the Viver that they seem to be very windy. You don't go to the back of the line out that early.
Yeah.
Because he said I think whoever they're playing Toulouse or whoever, they just literally kept it to their front, nice and simple and basic. Off you go. Gaining your platform from there. And I think that's the one thing I admire about the Ulster line out from Saturday night against Connacht. It was nothing fancy. It functioned. And that's what you need from a set piece.
Well, line out never has to be fancy. It's just a way you restart the game.
Yeah. It just has to function. You have to secure the ball.
But you're spot on. You're spot on, Danny. Like, you know, get the basics right, get settled into the game, and then do all the fancy calls and all the trick plays that you do. And, you know, and I think Leinster and Ireland are a little bit guilty of that. You know, you're always told, like we were told by our coaches back in the day, get the basics right, lads, and play the conditions. That's it.
Yeah.
Joe, one thing I told
the rest will follow.
Yeah. One thing I told Coach told me once was, leave the fancy stuff to the backs. We're the forwards, we just do the basics right.
Exactly.
Leave the fancy stuff to the backs.
But that's where that's saying.
All you have to do is secure the ball, secure the lineup, secure the scrum, secure the ruck, secure the ball. Leave the backs to do the rest.
But that's exactly
where you have to do.
That's where that saying comes from. The forwards win games, the backs decide by how much. And it's as simple as that, like.
Well, I tell you, me and Mr. Boland are not qualified to talk about lineouts, but we can only really say what we see. You know?
Yeah.
And I'll hobby hand, I know fucking nothing that goes on the lineout, man.
No, you know, like I know nothing about the dark arts and scrums either, you know, like but again,
I've heard about
them. We've heard about them. You know, we've heard about them, but you know, like but the link between forwards and backs is very it's a close link because if the forwards are playing amazingly well and getting all that ball and the backs are just dropping it, they're not going to win games. Do you know what I mean? So, and that's why, like, you know yourself, Dave, the 9 and the 10 are so important because they're the link between the forwards and the backs.
Yeah.
I'd go one better, man. I'd say 8, 9, and 10. Especially at scrum. 8, 9, and 10.
8, 9, and 10, 100%.
Yeah.
And, you know, and if your 8, your 9, and your 10 are playing really well, the rest of them will get the confidence from that because that's where your core is coming from. Because most of your plays and most of your ball is coming through 8, 9, and 10.
Yeah.
But we're talking about a different game nowadays, though, lads. You know, because like, unfortunately now, and I feel sorry for them, forwards are expected to act like backs.
Yeah.
Oh,
well, when you see the likes of Ronan Kelleher and Dan Sheehan, and they can outrun fucking backs.
Even Furlong with his
game now.
And all, you know, it's just
I mean,
even Snyman with his offloads, he's fucking unreal. Like.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like he's like Sonny Bill Williams, just another 2 foot tall. Like. Unbelievable what that fella's doing. Like, you know, it's unreal.
Like the only thing I had to worry about when I played as a forward was secure the ball and don't get carded. And don't make sure the rest doesn't see it. That's all I had to worry about. There are my 3 things. Secure the ball. Yeah.
It's a different game nowadays. And do you know what? One thing that really annoys me in modern rugby is the Gary Owens, the overuse of them. Like the amount of possession, good solid possession, just kicked away on the whim of a 50-50, the box kick. You know, it's just, I can understand box kicking to clear your line, but when you're in the opposition's half, fuck off. Run, make space, find holes, plug through. Everything now is a kick. And I think that's killing a lot of supporters as well.
Yeah, Dave, look at Munster versus Northampton 2011, right? 41 phases.
I know.
2018 Ireland versus France, 41 phases as well.
I know.
It is possible to do. It's just discipline needs to be done. That confidence needs to be there. It is possible to do it. You just need the right people in the right place doing the right things at the right time.
But you guys know as well, like if the discipline isn't within a team either, you're not going to win games. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Penalties will always be given away, but like cynical.
100%. Like, and the thing, and I think people don't understand as well. Like when you're playing the game, things are so tight that it's so easy to give away a penalty. Do you know?
Yeah.
Like you're relying on instincts, but you're also relying on a bit of luck as well. Like I was saying, like when the scrum half is throwing the ball out from the scrum or a ruck or a maul or whatever, you're looking at him and looking at the ball, right, and going, right, when's he going? Oh, I think he's going now. I'm going to go. He mightn't go at all, and you're fucking three yards offside. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, that's just the way it is. Like,
yeah, but your
interpretation as well, you know.
Yeah. Well, and look, you know, the refs have a very hard time, you know, and they get a hard time. It's a very hard job to be a ref.
It's a very ungrateful job
on in a rugby match because look in any sport, but I think because the laws are so technical in rugby, I think it's actually harder for rugby referees, and they do get a lot of stick. And I will never blame a referee because I understand the game, I understand the laws.
I have no problem blaming a referee.
I know you don't. I don't. I understand because
man, let's be honest. Busby and Whitehouse. Come on.
Yeah, they're shy.
Holly Davison and Luke Pearson, all these can have really consistently good enough games. No one really complains about their officiating. But then we have the likes of Busby, Whitehouse, and beforehand Wayne Barnes. They are some of the worst refs I've ever seen, man, because they're not there to adjudicate properly. That's my sense of it. They're there just to, you know, make the game about themselves or whatever. You know, you don't know psychologically what's going on in someone's head. But if Holly Davis
of course not.
Job, Nigel Owens can do a good job. You know, Alain Roland, all these other refs could all do a good job.
Yeah.
Why can't they? You know, because it has been brought up on a few podcasts that I've listened to. The officiating in the URC is pretty poor. It
is, and look, and it's definitely not going to go away, and I don't think it's going to get any better until it gets addressed. But you know, it's a very hard task for refs because they have to rely on the likes of the TMOs and the linesmen to make these calls because they physically can't and mentally can't see everything. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You put yourselves in their shoes.
No, 100%. Like, you know.
Yeah.
Me personally, I would not get into their shoes. Not a fucking chance.
But I'm saying, as a supporter, try to see things as the referee sees it.
No, you do. But it's just like when someone like what happened, Bundyaki and Mac Hansen called out about when the ref is standing right there and you don't call it, and the TMO is watching it back. Like, you've no one to blame but yourself for getting a bollock from a player or fans or whatever, because it's there in front of you and that's your job. You know, there is a bit give and go. Like, me and Matt were watching the game, like a couple of calls went to Leinster and then, but we got it back in Munster that probably shouldn't have got it. It ebbs and flows, and I'm fine with that. But big decisions, big blatant fucking things, like, they need to be called.
Like 100%. Like,
you know,
the game always ebbs and flows, and that's the beauty of the game. Like, you know, you might get 60% of the calls or you might get 40% of the calls. Generally, you're hoping for about 50-50, but the likes of them big game-changing decisions, they need to be looked at properly. Like, you know, I do think that tackle on Bundyaki that time by Barrett was a high one, should have been looked at. It wasn't looked at. I think that Ringrose tackle in the Munster match on Friday night should have been looked at. Definitely looked at.
Yeah, when I look back at it probably should have been looked at, but like, I mean,
but again, look, you know, the game is the game.
I'm happy to let it go at the same time, you know.
Yeah.
It wasn't as severe as
no, but you know, the ref can't see everything. You know, by the time the player had passed the ball, the ref's looking at the ball, he's following the ball, not the player that he left behind. You know, that's where the team.
But the other side is then, lads, we start giving out to hell to high water if the TMO was involved all the time as well. Like, how many refs?
There's no happy
for every try, and you're like, you're not making fucking decisions. So we're never
the game would never get going. So look, it's just one of those things, you know.
That we have to do all right. Yeah, we just have to accept it and stuff.
Exactly.
One thing I left that before we start wrapping things up in bits and pieces, Nick Timney's performance. Do you think that will probably get him maybe a look into the Ireland squad for the back row? In general,
I don't see him getting selected though, because there's just too much quality ahead of him. I'd have no problem with him getting selected. You know?
Yeah, because I think it was one person said Van der Fleer at 7 and Conan and Doris at 8 seem to be keeping him out of the squad long term.
This is it, you know. And then you had O'Mahony keeping him out
at 6, You know, and
no denying Nick Timoney. He's a fantastic player, but the depth that's in that back line is just fucking. It's unbelievable, you know. And does he deserve to be in the selection? Yeah, 100%. But then he has to fight then to get onto the team, you know. And that's
when you've utility second rows like Ryan Bird and Thomas Ahern that can play 6 as well, and Tyburn.
Yeah.
Where the fuck do you put Timoney then? You know?
Yeah,
I'm not saying that like Bird or Tom Ahern's hasn't even got much of a look in the squad are ahead of him. But like, if all those lads are involved, where do you put them?
But that's the thing, like, you know, like if all them players are playing the best rugby that they can possibly play and they're all fit and healthy, like, it's hard to pick any of them. You know,
it's a nightmare.
It's a fucking nightmare for the coaches. But
it's the coach's happiest nightmare. That's what I say.
You know, like it's a great position for the coaches to be because they've got to pick
his happiest nightmare. Yeah, he's happy to have so much talent, but it's a nightmare to decide who goes where.
Exactly.
But let's remember as well, it's based on one very good game by Ulster. Let's see how they go now in Europe and stuff like that, and then then we can properly judge the likes of Timoney and these when they're up against big opposition in Europe. You know, that is the standard as far as I'm concerned for Irish selection. You know, Europe.
But that's your minimum standard. You know, that's your minimum. So, and then after that, then needs to be a step up then for international level because the difference between provincial rugby and say top 14 Premiership rugby is the step up to test level rugby, and that's where your coaches are looking, and they're looking at them going, okay, he's amazing for Ulster, but can he make that step up? I don't know.
Yeah, but this is the point. We can listen to Ulster fans give out about certain players they're not getting picked based on they're playing so well in the URC. The URC is not the standard. It's Europe is the standard. And
100%. Europe is the standard,
Europe is the standard.
Again, big week now, next couple of weeks now of Champions Cup rugby, or Challenge Cup rugby. They just have to take that performance on from the URC, step it up a little bit, and then if they get rewarded being in the squad, then
but that goes for all the provinces at this stage.
Oh yeah, I would imagine that the coaches, I know it's Easterby now that he'll be picking the squad and that sort of stuff. I'd say Farrell will probably have a little bit of insight, might have a little bit of knowledge or a little bit of input there, but at the end of the day, it's Easterby and he'll be looking, and at the end of the day, and if they don't perform and don't impress Easterby, they won't get picked.
Now, lads, I will call tonight. The provinces have a break next weekend, as we do ourselves next Monday. So, lads, until next year, I would say happy New Year.
Happy New Year, boy.
Happy New Year, listeners.
I would say goodbye. Dave Sheedy, I would say goodbye. Mike Sheedy, happy New Year to you as well.
Happy New Year, Mikey boy.
Take care. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks, everyone.
See you then.
Take care. Good luck.